My name is Casey. I usually do the Lovin Dubai show, but we're going to do the Dubai show. We're going to do the Abu Dhabi show today, and our top stories are: UAE marks 50 years of armed forces unification with tribute to service and national pride. We're talking about the UN. They have expressed concern after reported missile and drone attacks by Iran on the UAE. And then we have a really sweet story about an Abu Dhabi mom who shared messages of strength and unity, and it makes you think about what is like the great things that you've seen people do, the kind gestures that you've seen people do in the community. So we're going to jump into a little bit of that later, as well as meeting the winner of the Shori.com campaign, where we gave a Mercedes to a dog, and it was all thanks to Shori.com. Our top story today: UAE marks 50 years of armed forces unification with tribute to its service, and also, of course, it's a day that is heavy on national pride. But what day is not heavy on national pride here in the UAE? So the UAE is now celebrating 50 years of unification of its armed forces. This is a milestone that marks 5 decades of strength, unity, and a shared purpose under one command since 1976. Over the years, this unification has helped strengthen coordination, boost capabilities, and support the country's security and stability, which was no more seen than recently, since February 28th, since we saw the incredible armed forces and what they have done to protect the country. So this year, more than ever, we are so thankful and grateful for the armed forces. And on this occasion, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed thanked the armed forces for their dedication and sacrifice in protecting the nation and its people, calling their service a source of pride for everyone in the UAE. This is definitely a moment to reflect on how far the nation has come, and also to recognise those who continue to stand guard over its future. And it really is the time to recognise and to say thank you. We're in a fragile ceasefire at the moment, but since February 28th, I think we must recognise and say thank you to the armed forces. Let's not forget that we were in the middle of the holy month of Ramadan as that happened. And if you thought you weren't sleeping at night, if work was tough, we had these armed forces protecting us night and day, keeping us safe as we saw a barrage of blatant aggression from Iran, more so than any other country, and these were the forces to protect us. So we talk about unity on social media, but if you want to thank the armed forces, if you jump onto any platform on social media, you can just make your voice heard. You can tag them in our Lovin Abu Dhabi posts. You could also just go onto the Ministry of Defence UAE and just say your thank yous there, because how often do we actually have the opportunity to acknowledge the amazing armed forces here in the UAE? And today is that day. So if you want to make your voice heard, if you want to say your thanks heard, use your social media voice to do it. Let's move in to our next story. We're talking about the United Nations. They have expressed concerns over the reported missile and drone attacks by Iran on the UAE, and this was on Monday, an incident that left at least 3 people injured and caused a fire at an oil faculty in Fujairah. So speaking yesterday, the UN spokesperson Stephanie Dujarric also highlighted recent strikes on vessels near the Strait of Hormuz. He warned that tensions in the region are rising. Dujarric called on all sides to exercise restraint. He urged them to avoid any actions that could lead to further escalation. He also stressed that peaceful solutions are the only way forward. Hear, hear. He said these effects and efforts should follow international law at the UN Charter. And we have seen many countries echo this sentiment. It was pretty inspiring to see at least 20 to 30 countries since Monday. And if you're watching from abroad, hello, but if you're watching from the UAE, you'll know that we had 19 missile threats on Monday, which meant number of sirens on our phones, and it was the first sirens that we had really received since the ceasefire was announced from Iran and the US. Now, the countries that have come in to condemn these attacks, I'll just name a few: Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Egypt, Jordan, GCC, Arab League. So countries and also organizations and bodies: Serbia, Germany, KSA, UK, Montenegro, France. A whole host of countries has gotten together to share their consternation with these missile threats. And so we really do hope it was a blip. This happened on Monday. Tuesday, there was no major warnings. There was one alert at 6:14, I think, p.m. And that's believed to be an alert in Fujairah, but there was no major missile attacks yesterday as a whole across the country. And I do wonder, if you're watching the show, if you have any tips for me on staying calm during a fast-moving news cycle. And I think we've all had a lot of learning since February 28. And I would love to hear your approach on how you stay calm. And if you're if you're listening to the podcast, I'll give you mine, for example. So at the very beginning, it was so entrenched in us to check every single update. And my issue was I was looking at international media alerts and trying to understand everything that was happening from the US and from Iran and from media outlets in Qatar. And if you actually pare back everything that you're consuming and stick with local sources here in the UAE, I think you'll find it's a much easier and much calmer news cycle to be able to understand everything. And so my tip for staying calm during a fast news cycle is avoiding any kind of outward influence. When they're talking about the UAE, the real information is directly here in the UAE. I follow local news sources. I try and avoid everything from outside because it confuses me. I know what's happening on the ground here. I feel protected here. I feel safe here. But as soon as I allow outward influences in, then it becomes a scarier place. And so the news cycles are so quick moving. I think it's just easier to stick close to home when you're looking for your news updates. And that's not meant to be a shout out for Lovin Abu Dhabi, by the way. It sounds like it is, but what I really do mean is local sources. We get all our information directly from UAE government channels. Ministry of Defence are amazing. The WAM, which is the government, WAM, it's the government news channel. They're also amazing. So many updates there. Also NCEMA, which is the National Crisis Centre for Emergencies. They also have very quick news cycles. And also, of course, Lovin Abu Dhabi. The Abu Dhabi Media Office and the Dubai Media Office are also very quick to share the relevant stories with the audience. So check there for all of your local news. Let's jump in to our next story. We're talking about an Abu Dhabi mom, and she has shared a message of strength and unity. And what a day for us, since we're talking so much about unity and resilience. So this is an Abu Dhabi-based blogger. She's the mother of two. Her name is Lauren Pandit. And what she has said is resonating with many across the UAE after sharing a heartfelt reflection during this time of uncertainty. So in the message that she shared, which was widely shared by you guys, she described a moment that when things shift, acknowledging the fear and heaviness many families feel when routines are disrupted and challenges resurface. So potentially when schools kind of have to go remote learning again, these challenges resurface as things shift. But she focused on what defines those moments and then the strength and the unity that follow. She highlighted the calm response across the country, the focus on safety, and the way communities come together to support one another. Her message has struck a powerful tone, reminding people that the UAE has faced difficult times before, and we have emerged stronger. We're not starting from zero, she said, adding that while fear may come first, trust in the UAE will always stand stronger. And it's so true. What happened can be scary, but actually trusting the country and where we are will inspire us to stand stronger and be able to cope with whatever comes our way. And I wonder, I love this comment, Abu Dhabi is the best and safe place. I think the UAE is the best and safe place, but I do live in Dubai, so we can have that argument if you want. Is there any kind of nice acts of kindness or moments that you've seen that have restored your faith in people? Because I love the types of stories when someone goes out and shares something and it resonates, and because it's a social media story, you may not have heard that story otherwise. And so sometimes these stories give us a little bit of a We were talking earlier about it today on another show. Give you a little bit of a social media hug. So if you're feeling uncomfortable or maybe you're feeling isolated, sometimes you see these stories and they strike a chord. And this one definitely struck a chord because she's basically saying that, yes, there's fear, but also that makes us stand stronger in the end. And I think I have to absolutely agree. Oh, I am Lena Faskova, your usual Abu Dhabi host. She says, the UAE is so strong. Yes, and I think anyone who's stayed here throughout will fully resonate with that. And you have to be here to know. And I really do think that when we look abroad and people question and say, how are you managing there? You've got to be here to really see how the leaders have operated, the impeccable coordination from armed forces, the impeccable communication from all of the channels to keep us up to date, to reduce that fear factor, despite, as we said, was a difficult time. But I'll leave it there. That is it for Lovin Abu Dhabi show, but that does not mean it's it for the full show, because we're going to jump into Lovin Meets. Lovin Meets got to sit down with the dog who won a Mercedes and also the amazing owner of the dog, Andrea. We also spoke to Marwan Mubaid from Shori.com, talk all about this big campaign. He's going to be with us after this very short break. Do stay tuned. Welcome to Lovin Meets. The energy in the studio today is through the roof. The Every Pet Has a Shori campaign was a whirlwind of community, love and hearts. And after hundreds of incredible entries, we finally have our champions in the building this morning. But first, please welcome Marwan Mubaid, who's the Senior Client Partner at Shori.com, who's going to take us through the details that really helped bring this huge campaign on vision to life. Welcome to the studio. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Casey.
Absolutely. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Let's talk insurance. Not everyone's favorite topic.
Correct.
So how do you make it into something that people want to talk about?
In terms of insurance itself as a concept, people do look for it whenever something goes wrong. Whenever you're in the hospital, you got a flooded apartment, you got into a car accident, and go like, oh, thank God I have insurance at that point. And really, this is what we try to change the mindset about, is to think about those events before they occur, because it is possible that it occurs with people. So we want people to be ready for those stuff and when they happen, they are with the right insurer and the right insurance broker as well.
I love that your first response was, it is a noble cause, it's a noble industry, and you're right in so many ways. But you're up against over 160 brokers, which is quite something.
Yep. There
are so many options out there, I'll tell you, it's overwhelming. So what makes Shori.com really stand out from the crowd, in your opinion?
So if we think about the UAE, right, and it is overcrowded with insurance brokers, I would say, in one word, technology. Technology is the driver for Shori.com. Again, in our DNA, we are a digital organization. And the way we think about insurance and how to make it simpler makes us go beyond everybody else. We are the only one, so I don't see any competition even in the UAE when it comes to a digital journey end to end.
Right.
You are in the app. You answer one question, for instance, on the car insurance. You get several quotes. You bind the policy. Back in the day, it used to take days. Until now, for some other competitors, it takes days. For us, it takes seconds. We're trying to get it under a minute now. So that was unheard of. And when we talk about the industry in the UAE, we are up against more than 160 brokers. But we're not here for the region. We're not here in the UAE only. We are here to expand globally. So we are trying to differentiate ourselves from the millions around the world, rather than the hundreds in the UAE.
Which, and certainly how you're going to do that at the points that we will touch on. But you mentioned car insurance, and so many of us are drivers. We may look to insurance platforms for different types of insurance, and we may go for the cheapest option. Sometimes might be guilty. Is that the right move, in your opinion?
So, because there's a suite of products within the motor insurance part, you would have to think about multiple aspects, right? So if I go for the cheapest, which is typically in the UAE at a third-party liability, so it doesn't cover the damage of your own vehicle, it will cover the damage of the vehicle you're hitting if you are at fault. That is the cheapest option. if you have a brand new car like the Mercedes we gave out last week, right? Is that really the right thing to do? That's not the right thing to do, in my opinion. So it depends on the situation that you have. If you have a pretty old car, for instance, yes, that might be the right thing to do. If your car is 15 years old or 12 years old, maybe that's the right thing to do because the value of the vehicle is diminishing over time. But really, it's about what sort of product are you getting? What sort of cover you're getting. So I'll give you some other examples. Some of the insurance products we have does not cover injury to the passengers, right? Well, that is essential. You know, you're taking yourself, you're taking the family in the car, something goes wrong, you want to have that cover in place. It's not very expensive, but in the grand scheme of things, it might be, 3 or 4 or 5% more than the usual, but I would happily pay that if I knew about it, right? And that's why we, in Shorty.com, we try to be as transparent as possible. As part of our platform on the motor product, you can do a comparison between the products. What does this give me? What does that give me? Yes, it might be 100 dirhams more expensive, but I would want this. And that's how we think about it. The second thing, I don't know if you heard on the news, there's a vehicle valued at 300,000 dirhams. And a person made a mistake and they insured it at 30,000. Maybe it's a mistake, maybe they did it for a cheaper sum insured, right? And it went for a total loss. So the vehicle was non-operational. So what they did at that point, the insurance company will pay back that individual 30,000 dirhams for a 300,000 dirham vehicle, right? That doesn't happen with Shorty. Once you put it in your car plate number, you're going to give you even a range of how much your car is valued at, and you're going to pick up a range at least, right? So all of those things makes you think about price versus the quality of what you're getting out of it.
Very interesting. We were speaking a lot about car insurance. What other products do you insure at Shorty.com?
So in Shorty.com, there are two parts of the business. There's the retail part, which is digital, online, B2C, the best in the world. And that is motor, pet, home, and health insurance. Those are the 4 products, and more to come, by the way, right? So those are the 4 that are live today. That journey is straightforward, simple, minimal questions, end-to-end digital. You buy the policy within seconds. Right? And then there's the other part of the business, which is the corporate division. So corporate deals with corporate. It's a B2B, right? We insure, for instance, group health insurance for an organization. We take the assets and we insure them. So it's that kind of a bit more complex insurance that does require human interference and manual interference as well. So those are the things that we work on the corporate side with very interesting stuff, right? You have to insure satellites to space. You have to insure caviar farms. You have to insure billions in assets, skyscrapers. So those kinds we're trying to move it more digital. It is quite unheard of globally, but we're trying to move that a bit more digital. But for now, it is the complex risk management that we go through with our clients in order to ensure if something goes wrong, they are fully covered.
I have to say, well done, Marwan. You've made insurance very interesting when you think about satellites that need insurance and
Absolutely.
What's going on behind the scenes. A lot of people, just on a personal level, they would say that insurance is something they need rather than something they want. It's like that kind of money that you don't want to give away. What would you say to those people?
Change your mindset, really. I've been in the industry for quite some time, and the amount of times that we see people regretting, I would use the word regretting not purchasing a product that we have offered is more often than them doing anything else, right? So that mindset of it's mandated, I have to purchase it, to I need it, I have to purchase it. The insurance industry does not cost that much. So in terms of cost to benefit perspective, it's not that high, right? When it comes to insuring, for instance, assets in millions and millions, sometimes you're paying thousands only to cover millions, right? Yes, the likelihood is very low that something goes wrong, but when it does go wrong, the cost is extremely high. We are here to protect people's livelihoods, to protect businesses, to protect individuals. Imagine somebody going to a hospital needing a surgery and going like, oh God, I should have bought insurance. Why don't I have it? And at that point, the surgery is going to cost, I don't know, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 dirhams. What are they going to do at that point? Their livelihood is affected. Mm-hmm. So think about insurance as something that you want and need, right? Purchase it early. Even on a life insurance perspective, purchase it early. The younger you are, the better premium you're going to get, right? Purchase it early. Think about the future. Think about the family. Think about a lot of things that can go wrong, and have that document. It is a document. It's a promise, right? Have that promise and document with the right people that it is going to, give a better outcome if something goes wrong.
Very interesting points. Why should we use Shori.com? It's a question I think about quite regularly, rather than just going directly to a specific insurance provider.
So the revenue model that we have is that you're not charged extra, right? So whatever you were going to pay, you're going to pay something similar or less with us, right? So in terms of fees, there's no additional fees to insure through Shori. Now, the second question you should ask yourself, you as an individual, you're purchasing from X insurer, right? How much are you giving them in premium? 1,000, 2, 3, 10, 20, We place in the insurance market in the UAE billions. So our purchase power, and it's not millions, it's billions. Our purchase power with insurance companies is quite high. So our strength in the market is quite good. And when it comes to the product itself, we are creating products with those insurers, and we are on the side of the customer, right? We are on your side. Now, if something goes wrong, we are there to help. We have, on the corporate division, we have a massive claims team. Massive, huge. A lot of people are working in there. On the retail side, we have a claims team as well, very big. Something goes wrong with the insurer, you don't have to go back and forth with them. Call us. Let us know. This is what's happening with me. Can you help? And we are there to help. We are there selling a promise. So when something goes wrong, we are there with you. And we are fulfilling on that promise. And that's a promise from us to everybody.
It's a big promise. If people have questions on specifically what you've just spoken about, if they want to talk to Shori.com, how can they do so?
They can reach to us on our social media page, our website. They can call us on 800 Shori. We are there for them. We are there to help out. And really, on our Instagram page, there's a lot of education about it. I've seen a post the other day, is very interesting. It will cost you much less to insure your pet than buying a new Labubu, right?
I was worried where you're going with that.
So it is that kind of information that is out there to understand the cost that you're getting. Should you go for a haircut or should you purchase home insurance? That's the cost that we're getting now in the market through Shori.com. It is that kind of thing that we are putting out there for people, because what we need from people is to try to change their mindset, to become more insured. When something goes wrong, everybody's livelihoods is affected, and we do not want that.
Certainly a mindset shift. It's so interesting. Who is the brains behind Shori.com? Like, who started the story?
So it's a group of entrepreneurs. Brilliant is an understatement. They have a lot of experience in the insurtech and the fintech space. They started previous businesses which are now listed businesses. Wow. And for them, they are here in the UAE building products. So they are people who understand technology, who are obsessed with customer experience, right? When we launched Shori, the application, that was in 2022, right? We had an update on the app every 2 weeks. That's unheard of. And why is it updated every 2 weeks? Not because something is wrong with it, no. Because we're enhancing it every 2 weeks. That is the idea and the DNA that sits behind it. So that is from the entrepreneur perspective. That's the brains. Now we go to the backing, the financial backing. We are financially backed by IHC, International Holding Company. That is one of the largest listed companies in the largest listed company in the UAE, and one of the largest in the region. and they are one of the most diverse, experienced investment companies globally. So the financial backing is there. This will give you support in terms of building better technology, recruiting the right people. So all of that is happening from the financial backing. The brains are sitting in there, and them together, you have Shorty.com.
Let's take it down to a real level. When someone wants to file a claim, what is the process? Because that's what really matters to you and me.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So the easiest way, if you purchase a product from the Shorty.com application, you can file the claim through the application, right? It's easy, it's simple. If you go today and you want to file a claim with others, you might have to stay in a queue to wait and get things sorted. Forget about all the paper jargon. Shorty.com, purely digital. You're doing it online. And we will do all the legwork in the back end with the insurers on your behalf, right? So it's all done. And then the communication will happen between you and the insurer as well about, let's say, on the motor insurance, on the garage, etc. If it was an agency repair. And by the way, talking about agency repairs, I always advise people in the first and second year to have their motor insurance insured inside the agency. There's a massive difference between inside the agency, outside the agency. And that's where, you can get cheaper a little bit.
Okay.
And people do not notice this. Your regular person would not be looking, is it inside or outside the agency on the document? But, that's my advice to them. So yes, you go through all of that process online, submit it, and we're going to give you a call back and let you know what are the next steps. It's very simple, very easy.
Interesting. Speaking of simple, we have touched on it, but I just want to dig a little bit deeper into the aggregator myth.
Yes.
So the myth is it costs more. Can you dispel that a little bit more so people fully understand how it's actually cheaper?
Okay. So an aggregator model is very interesting on both aspects, financially and time, right? Those are the two aspects you need to think about. Financially, am I paying more to go through Shorty.com? The answer is no, right? Is it better in terms of premium? Highly likely, right? So that is from a financial aspect. The second aspect is an average person. How many insurance companies do they know? 1, 2, right? Those are your options. You used to drive a certain vehicle, right? And that insurer's interest in that vehicle is high. They'll give you a very good premium. You sold that car, you bought a new one. Go back to the same insurer thinking that that's the best premium you can get, right? Because you've been doing it for years. Is that really the best premium? Because now it's not a Mercedes, it's another car, right? So all of that aspects is questions you ask yourself. On the aggregator side, I'm getting you multiple quotations. 10 plus. Sometimes, right? Depends on the vehicle, but 10 plus. Then you'll see that, I didn't know about this insurer. It looks like it's a good cover. I'll do the comparison. You'll do the comparison and go like, yep, that's the right one for me. So those are all the aspects that you can get through an aggregator digital model that is available to the public in a click.
So true, and it's so amazing to be able to get this information to the public because that's what's required, because it sounds like what you guys are doing at Shorty.com is really helpful for people. As we mentioned, we have special guests in the studio today. Andrea and Pluto are here, the winner of Shorty.com Every Pet Has a Shorty campaign. For anyone who's tuning in, before we go to them in Studio 2, can you tell us what the campaign was about? Just give people a rundown of what we did last week.
Absolutely. So the campaign was to think about the story of the heroes. And for us, heroes are usually humans, but this time we're thinking about pets. Because our leadership in the UAE think about this year as the year of the family. And pets are family for us, right? So we thought about this campaign, how can we launch a campaign that is around the pets, and especially when people were abandoning their pets, what have we done as Shorty.com? We have raised over 100,000 dirhams for pet shelters. Even due to the floods, we helped them out as well. So it's all of those things that are sitting behind the emotions, the human touch that we have towards pets brought up this to life. And we are really excited, and I want to congratulate Andrea and Pluto for this.
Yeah, me too. I'm so excited. We're going to have them very, very shortly. But before we do, very quickly, what is next on the agenda for Shory.com?
Keep your eye on our Instagram page. We do have a lot of updates there. And for us at Shory.com, we will become a global brand. And we are aspiring to get there. We are expanding on a global level. We started in the UAE. Now we have our offices in Saudi. We're expanding to India, to the UK, to the US. We have offices as well in Egypt, in Jordan. So we are trying to move beyond regional to move global, build products, improve our products, and maintain our standards with our customers.
The beginning of a very exciting journey. That was so lovely. Thank you very much, Marwan. But do stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We're going to jump into Studio 2 right now. We'll be catching up with the winners of the campaign, Andrea and, of course, Pluto. They are the winners of Every Pet Has a Shory and the duo that took home a brand new Mercedes-Benz. After this break, do stay tuned. Okay guys, welcome back. I'm here with Marwan and the winners of Every Pet Has a Shory and the duo that last week walked home, ran home, drove home with a brand new Mercedes-Benz. Welcome to the show, Andrea and Pluto. Good morning. A cutie, good mornings. It's amazing that we have you all in studio today. First of all, let's meet Pluto. Who is he and how did he come into your life?
Basically how it started is that Pluto was surrendered when he was very young, around like 3-4 months old. So basically family got him from another family, and after like just maybe 10 days or typically like 10-15 days, they were like, okay, we cannot deal with this anymore. So what we did, we needed to put him in a boarding facility because the family wanted him out as soon as possible. So we made the decision, okay, like we cannot just leave him in a boarding facility, we need to take him. And that's when we made the decision. We just decided, okay, let's move houses, and we got him home.
I can only imagine the joy of bringing Pluto to his new home and what he must have been like, you know, jumping into the yard for the first time.
It was actually very interesting because, again, like I have a cat at home and I don't know how to introduce cat and dog, so I needed to do a lot of research, like, because I don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, he's playful pup, and you know, like cat-dog correlation can end up very bad.
But I also hear that he was a blood donor.
Oh yes.
Can you speak on that a little bit?
So during my research, I joined like a lot of pet communities, and I was searching for the best nutrition also for him, which actually helped him to become healthy and to have like perfect medical results. As I was active in animal community, I've seen a lot of dogs and cats that are actually in need of urgent blood donation, and then searching for a blood donor is very complicated. So I did a bit of research. I contacted the SAB, which is a small animal blood bank. This is the only blood bank in the UAE. So we applied, we got the call back after actually a few months. Funny thing is, whenever we go for a blood donation, he's so excited to go to the vet and to see the vet, you know?
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I think he's the only dog he's actually excited to go to the vet.
You know, it's such an amazing story. Marwan, you saw hundreds of entries. So what was it about Pluto's story that stood out to you?
He's educating us. Pluto is an example of giving back. And we started this campaign with this giving back. And, you know, as I mentioned earlier, it is the year of family. And the words that Andrea keeps on using, family, right? The way she thinks about Pluto, the blood donation of Pluto, which is something I never knew existed, to be honest. And when we read that, both of them are giving back. They are champions, they are heroes. So that's the least we can do to thank them for everything that they're doing.
Exactly, completely agree with you. It was eye-opening to me that dogs could be blood donors. So when did you decide to enter Every Pet Has a Shory and why? And did you enter all of the animals that you have at home?
No, the funny story is because, again, I'm very active in the dog community, so I'm in different kind of groups, WhatsApp groups, Instagram groups or whatnot, and then I saw people actually started like, okay, there is a Shory giveaway, there is a prize, you just need to tell your dog's pet story and then you might win. And at first I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, no way I'm gonna win anything. And first of all, I don't even know how to edit videos. I'm just not media focused. I just like whatever even I post on my social media, I just post it because I'm happy that I have such a wonderful dogs, you know, and cat at home. But and then I see people posting, and I even commented on a group like, oh, there is no way I'm gonna post. I don't even know how to edit. I don't know what to post. And some of the people from the group, they're like, no, you should do it because Pluto. They know Pluto's story, and they're like, it's very interesting, and they encourage me to actually post anything. So I'm like, okay, let me give it a try, but I was not expecting, or I was not thinking anything about it. I was just like, okay, I want to share his story because I know how many dogs and cats are abandoned on daily basis, and all they need is just one chance. And if we give them that chance, that it definitely can change your life and their life. So I was like, okay, let's just give it a try, you know.
It is touching. The story, yeah.
There was so much conversation about the competition in the pet groups. I'm in them as well. So what must it have felt like when you actually found out you're a finalist? And also, when you walked through the door here, did you have any idea that you might be the winner?
No, I was actually so confused because I see the competition is going, and there are a lot of winners, you know, that actually some of them are my friends, you know, like this lady with the service dog, Jasmine, the paw-keeper, and Charlie, and some other dogs, I know them. And I'm like, they're winning, and I'm like, we are not winning anything, like, because I would never expect to win the main prize. And how all the winners went, like, okay, it's done, you know, I forgot about it. And then I receive a message, okay, you are one of the 5 finalists, and I'm like, what? Like, I did not expect that first, and I'm like, okay.
Well, this is the thing, because it was a long campaign brought to us by Shori.com, and as you mentioned, there were other winners, and so that must have been a bit like, oh, am I going to win or we're not going to win? Can you speak a little bit on the process of the other prizes that you distributed throughout the campaign?
So we did distribute 10,000 dirhams on other stories for the pets as well, and the idea is we do have an internal committee that will assess the winners. Because
Pluto, as far as we know, is the first dog ever to win. Like, even on Mercedes-Benz, like, we're sitting here, like, it's really epic. It's really epic. Has that settled now, a week on? And also, is Pluto top dog at home?
Well, I don't know if we are settled, but yeah, we are still under impression, and we're just like, I just still cannot believe, you know. And my family, they were like, what, how is that possible, you know, your dog won a car? And I'm like, listen, this is just proof that Pluto is precious. And I always used to say Pluto is precious, no one believed me, but I think now, like, this confirms, he just happened to really change my life from, like, the changing career that I work now, something that I love to work. I volunteer with many shelters as well. I try to help as much as I can animal community in general. And I'm so grateful that I have a dog that can help also other dogs save lives. So this is experience that is so rewarding that, like, I'm just happy every day, every single moment whenever, like, we are together.
Beautifully said. And for the audience watching, I guess, what's the one takeaway you'd like people to kind of understand from Pluto's story?
I would really like to highlight, because Pluto, thanks to Pluto, actually, we adopted another dog. She's a rescue, and her name is Venus. So she came to us like last year, 1 year ago, and she was super scared. It took her 6 months to give me first eye contact. She was traumatized. Today she's a very happy girl, but I think that what's the moral of the story? Like, give them a chance, because those animals depend on us, and it is, once you make the decision, okay, I take this pet, you need to understand you are responsible. It was not their choice that you will take them, it's your choice. Like, stick to it, do whatever it needs to be done, give them a chance, because at the end, I know beginnings are hard, but after some time is going to be so rewarding. And give them a chance, because in the UAE currently there are more than 10,000 dogs actually abandoned, and they are ready for adoption. When it comes to cats, the situation is way much worse. Those animals did not ask to be abandoned, they just need chance, and I always say, adopt, give them a chance, and watch your life change.
So amazing. Adopt, don't shop, and also like the fact that that Pluto's a blood donor will be something that that sticks with me as I go through life. And finally, we're coming to the end of this amazing campaign. So to you, Marwan, after seeing the story come to life, does this capture what every Pet Has a Story was all about?
It is. It is about giving back, and as Andrea stated, now there are 10,000 animals out there for adoption, and for Shuri.com, it's not really about only the campaign that we're working on. It's about really giving back. Pluto is giving back. Again, give them a chance. I second that. Give them a chance, and we as Shuri.com, as a brand, we care. We care about humans, we care about animals, and the entire idea of the campaign, yes, it fulfilled and it exceeded expectations. And that's not because of the campaign itself, it's because of Pluto, the story of Pluto that gave us a lot of understanding about animals, about what they go through, how they give back. So really, congratulations to both of you guys. It was fantastic.
Absolutely, and I have no doubt that many animal lovers watching the show today will be waiting for the next one. So amazing marketing team at Shuri.com to get to work.
They will be ready for the next one, trust me.
We're excited.
Marwan, thank you very much. Andrea, and of course Pluto, the first ever winner of a Mercedes-Benz in Dubai in the world, we think. Massive congratulations to you guys, and thank you so much for being here to go through this morning. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Guys, that's it on the Lovin Dubai show. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Pluto. We'll see you next one. Bye-bye.